Hello, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time tuning in, my name is Adrielle, and I am currently narrating a story of my life dating back from January 2016. In the previous month, I spoke about um, the month of May. I spoke about the month of May, and this episode, I am going to talk about the month of June. So here it goes. So it is June 1st, y'all, and I did not have a job. I did not have a job, and I was low key paranoid of, man, what if I'm not able to take care of myself? Because I didn't have a job. Nothing came immediately after graduation. Nothing came before graduation. So it was very, very it was mentally tasking. Mentally it was messing with me. But I said, you know what? June, who knows? June can be that month. June can be that month that I get that job. Okay. Now, even though I'm still thinking about this whole job situation, I remember thinking to myself, oh my goodness, June 7 will mark exactly 1 year since I laid eyes on Brandon on Instagram. And the 13 will mark 1 year exactly that I got the revelation. But I said, you know what? I'm going to use June 7 as the marker because that was the first time I actually saw him. So I remember just that week just saying, God, it's going to be 1 year since I first laid eyes on Brandon on Instagram. I want something special to happen. So I was just having that mindset and praying that as well. Around June 3rd or June 4th, I get a FaceTime call from Melissa. And we're talking. We're talking. And she tells me that one of her family friends, yeah, like her cousin's friend or her family friend, something like that, was looking for an apartment. And they had been going apartment hunting, I think weeks before that or so. And the thing with Melissa was she didn't have a car. So Melissa was just telling me how they just going apartment hunting. Now, at this time, y'all, I was super bored at home. I wasn't doing nothing. So when Melissa's telling me that they were going apartment hunting and, I know that they didn't have a car, I told her, I said, hey, I can take y'all apartment hunting. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah, I can take y'all apartment hunting. When do you want to go? She was like, oh, um, I don't know. Let me ask her when she wants to go. I'm like, yeah, just let me know the day that you want me to go and take y'all apartment hunting. And yeah, so I'm like, okay, thank God I can occupy myself with something. So probably the next day, I got a text from Melissa, and she says, "Hey, can we go on Friday?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, we can go on Friday." She's like, "How about 1 p.m.?" I'm like, "That's fine." Then I thought about it. I'm like, "Wait, Friday? That's June 7th. Oh, I prayed for something special to happen that day. Is this going to interfere or is this going to add to it? That's how I'm thinking in my house. Like, okay, whatever. I don't know what's going to happen. All I know, I've been praying for something special to happen on that day. So, anyways, I agreed to Melissa's plans of us going apartment hunting for her family friend on June 7th. So it's June 7th. Y'all, I was super happy. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's been 1 year since I've known about Brandon. Oh, I was just so happy that morning, and yeah, I was just so joyful. So I go to Melissa's place to pick her up and her family friend. So when I get there, I'm waiting in the car. Melissa comes out and she says, hey, Adriel, here's a list of apartments that we want to see. So I take the piece of paper. I look at the first apartment. Now we're gonna call this first apartment Hidden Valley. Okay. So I look at the paper. Her family friend comes in. She says hello to me, and then we go. Now here's the thing with Hidden Valley. Hidden Valley was located in Dunwoody, Georgia, perimeter to be exact. So I drove to Dunwoody to this apartment. We get there. Soon as we get there, Melissa comes to me. She says, "Hey, Adria, I have to quickly go somewhere 10 minutes away to pick up something. Could you attend to her? I'm like, oh, sure, I got you. Just let me know what else you want me to do, like whenever you're coming back or whatever. She's like, I got you. So Melissa leaves, and me and her family friend go into the leasing office. We go into the leasing office, and we are talking to one of the leasing consultants. And she's just talking about the apartment, the pricing. I'm just listening, to see what she's saying or whatever. She takes us on a tour of the apartment, and she takes us to a model apartment. I go inside. I'm like, oh my goodness, this apartment is so beautiful. Like, it's so beautiful. Even the neighborhood itself is beautiful. The community of Hidden Valley was beautiful. I was just like, oh my goodness, this place is so beautiful. It's just so so beautiful. Like, I wouldn't mind living here. I was just saying that. Like, I wouldn't mind living here. And plus, I felt like it was an affordable place for a luxury apartment. I'm just like, yo, this place is dope. You know, I was like, I don't know. Wouldn't mind living here. Anyways, we go back into the leasing office. We talk over certain things, and her family friends like, "Hey, Adrian, what do you think?" I'm like, "Oh, this place is beautiful." We're just talking and everything. So Melissa eventually comes back, and her family friend is gushing over the place because the place was beautiful, and she was like, "Melissa, you have to see the apartment. It's super beautiful. Like, you have to see it." So we went on another tour just for Melissa to see the apartment. But when Melissa was in the apartment, I remember having deep thoughts about the apartment. Like, man, I really wouldn't mind moving here. I wouldn't mind moving here. Wouldn't mind moving here. Wouldn't mind moving here. I was like, no, I don't want to drive a U-Haul truck on 285. I do not want to carry furniture out of my apartment. And plus, I really did like my apartment in North Decatur. So I was like, you know what? No, this place is fine, but no. So we go back into the leasing office, and her family friend basically applies for the apartment. She applies and signs the lease, everything. She has her move-in date and everything. And so after that, we have dinner, and then later on, I drop them off. So after I drop them off, I come back into my apartment, and I come back to my apartment probably like 7-ish, at night. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, oh my goodness, I prayed for something special to happen today, and it hasn't happened. Now, here's the thing: when I asked God for something special to happen, what I had in my mind was to hear from Brandon. That was really what I had in my mind, whether it was through a DM or a follow or something. That was what I had in my mind, like for me to hear from him. And it was after 7, 8, 9. I didn't hear nothing from him. And plus, at the same time, he doesn't actually know me, so. But I was just praying that something special would happen, and I just felt like nothing special happened. So I was like, man. But it's okay. It's okay. So that was how that day went. So after the whole, anniversary, after the whole anniversary, I just remember just feeling like, man, I need to do things for God. I need to do things for the kingdom of God. And in my heart, to be honest, like, not even just at that time in 2019, even in previous years, like, I really have a desire to like mentor girls, younger girls. So I remember just thinking to myself at that time, like, hey, I can do that right now. That can be my kingdom work for God. And it can keep me busy as I'm looking for a job. So I remember just going on the internet and looking for places that had like mentorship programs that I can be a mentor to a girl or some girls. So I came across a mentorship program here in Atlanta, and I just applied. I'm like, this is what I want to do. I want to mentor young girls. And yeah, I'm just going to be busy doing kingdom work. So yeah, that was my mindset. So June 11th, I hear back from the coordinator, and we agreed to have like an interview. June 13th. Yeah, I remember Amber. She was in the graduate program with me. She graduated earlier than me. We were some she was someone who I was still in communication with. Now at this time she was already married. She married her then boyfriend, and they were moving out of Atlanta. So she texts me and says, "Hey Adrian, I'm moving," which I already knew, but she messaged me to tell me that she wants to have dinner at a restaurant, and she wants to see me on the 13th, June 13th. And I think she was leaving a couple of days after that to move out of state. So I was like, yeah, sure, definitely. I want to see you before you leave Atlanta. So June 13th comes, and I don't know, for some odd reason that morning, I just told myself that I don't want to check on Brandon. I don't want to check on Brandon. I don't want to know what he has going. I don't know. Cause naturally I do know. I just felt like it was too. I just felt like it was too much. Too much of the checking of social media. Too much of asking God questions. Too much about the marriage stuff. And I'm like, yo, I just want to live my life, you know. So I told myself I am not checking Brandon today, and I just don't want to check on him. I just want to live my life. So I remember leaving the house probably like 6 or 7 o'clock that evening and just telling myself, oh my goodness, I said I was not going to check on Brandon, and I truly don't have a desire to check on him. Oh my goodness, this never happens because I'm always in and out with the whole checking stuff. So I go to the restaurant, I meet up with Amber, and I meet up with her friend as well. We have dinner. I probably come back home after 10 o'clock. Yes, like after 10 o'clock at night. Now I get home, I'm sitting on the couch, and I'm watching the NBA finals. So I'm just sitting there, and I think it was like the final, like I think it was like game 7. So I remember just sitting on the couch watching the game. And as I was watching the game, I go on Instagram. I go on Instagram, and I just find myself in this Instagram rabbit hole. I don't know why, but I went from checking someone I follow to checking their friend to checking their friend. And these people that I was checking were godly men, men who were spreading the gospel of Jesus on social media. So I remember landing on like the last person, probably like the third person. And as I was scrolling that person's page, I see a particular picture, and he just says RIP to that person. I'm like, yo, I've seen this picture before. Um, I think that's Brandon's friend's relative or something that he put RIP for. So, anyways, I go to Brandon's friend's page. And when I go to Brandon's friend's page, I see the person. I'm like, yeah, like I've seen that person before. And I was like, oh, okay. So that other person knows Brandon's friend's relative. I was like, okay. Brandon's friend had a story up on their IG page. For some odd reason, I decided to check. I click on it, and when I click on it, it's a post about Brandon. Brandon was featured on the Shade Room. I'm like, wait, what? Now at this point, I did not follow the Shade Room anymore. I didn't follow a lot of pages. I unfollowed a lot of pages after the whole Lent situation thing. But when I saw that Brandon was featured on the Shade Room on, the person's IG story, I went quick. I ran quick to the Shade Room, and I'm like, what is it? So I don't know if the Shade Room still does this, but at that time in 2019, the Shade Room had this thing called Thirsty Thursdays where they would feature men. And Brandon was like the first person that was featured on this Thirsty Thursday. And let me tell you how pissed off I was. Because I'm like, Lord, this man that you're saying is my husband, why is he putting himself out there like that? I was just so pissed off. So I am reading through the comments, and people are thirsting over Brandon. I'm like, Lord, what is this? I was mad. I'm like, what is this? Why is he putting himself out there? Why is he trying to seek attention? Why is he trying to get validation? That was the vibe I was getting. And I'm like, look, yo, if this man is going to be my husband, he can't conduct himself like this. I was pissed. I was like, what is this? I couldn't even enjoy the game. I was just so mad. I was just so mad. And I just felt like, man, why is he trying to seek attention? So the night went on. The night went on. I was pissed. I went to bed. I was pissed going to bed too. I went to bed. I went to bed. I woke up in the morning. I was like, oh my goodness, Brandon, why he put himself out there like that? Oh goodness, this is so annoying. So I do my devotion, I do my prayer, I do all of that. I decided to go back to that Shade Room post, the Thirsty Thursdays. I decided to go back and read the comment section. Now, as I'm reading the comment section, I am seeing certain comments. Comments like, wow, you'll pay for clout on the Shade Room, but you won't acknowledge your child. Yikes. So, number one is a deadbeat daddy. And in my mind, I'm like, why are these child allegations keep popping up? This is the second time. Stephanie doesn't have a child. Number one has a child, completely saddened by this. Number one ain't it, sis. We don't like men, or should I say boys, because he obviously isn't a man who don't claim his kids. Now they're talking about one child. This person's talking about kids. I'm like, what's going on? Brandon has a beautiful daughter and doesn't even acknowledge her existence. Shake my head. I'm like, yo, Stephanie doesn't have a child. Why are people just keep calling Brandon a deadbeat daddy? Stephanie doesn't have a child. Then I see a particular comment that says, I'm paraphrasing at this point. Contestant number one is a deadbeat dad. He got his girlfriend pregnant. His ex girlfriend is Dash. Now, for the sake of the story, we're going to call this girl Caitlin Green. Okay, for the sake of the story, we're going to call her Caitlin Green. He got his girlfriend Caitlin Green pregnant. She talked about him on her IG story. So I clicked on the page because I don't know who this Caitlin Green girl. All I know is Stephanie. I clicked on the page. It takes me to her profile, and I'm like, who is this? I look at her picture, and she had like this hat on, so I couldn't really see who she was. And I can tell like the picture had a filter or was Photoshop. But I look at the first picture that was on her page, and it's a baby. It's a baby, and the baby looks mixed. I click on the picture, I look at the baby, and the first thing that came into my mind flew right out of my mouth. And it was, this baby looks like Nami. I said, this baby looks like Nami. Not only was it on my mind, it was in my heart too. I was like, this baby looks like Nami. So the next picture I see, it's the girl. So the girl's white. So I'm like, okay, that's why the baby is mixed. But I'm like, who is this girl? Now, mind you, I've done research about Brandon for a year. I did not know anything about no Caitlyn. I did not see any picture. I didn't see any baby picture, none of that. So I'm like, what is going on? And I'm going to stop the episode right here. Next episode, I am going to talk about all the stuff I found out that day, this whole baby situation, Caitlyn situation, Brandon situation. And yeah, so until next time, y'all. Bye.